This video is for those of you who feel like banging your head against the wall, and I'm not talking about the occasional feel like bang your head against the wall. I'm talking like you find yourself on a frighteningly often basis wanting to bang your head against the wall. And you want to bang your head against the wall not because you are insane, but because you have to deal with people who are, or who are irrational, or who are bossy, or who are a pain in the ass. And there's nothing you can do about it, and you just have to take it. And I know you've all been in that kind of situation at one time or another, but there are some of you who find yourself in this kind of situation on a daily basis. And I just want to tell you, and we'll talk in as broad terms as possible to cover as many different situations as possible, but I relate to you and I understand you. And okay, so what are the different situations? What are the different situations that make us want to bang our head against the wall? Okay, here's one. You live with somebody. It could be your parents, it could be maybe you have an elderly grandparent staying with you who's got dementia, or maybe you're in an institution, or you're in the military, or you're in jail, so you're living around other people. Maybe you have a roommate you don't like, maybe you live in a dorm, whatever, but there's somebody that you live with who never stops talking. They just never shut up. And the things they're talking about are the same things every single day, and you don't care because they're not important. They're like really superficial things, or the person's just complaining all day and night and they just never stop complaining. And it's always your fault, and everything you do is wrong. So it's like you just want to stay away from them, but you can't. So you gotta deal with that. Maybe they have obsessive compulsive disorder and they don't want you to touch anything, and you can't even clean because they want to see what you're doing, and if they hear you making noise they jump up and come running in, wake up or whatever, to see what you might be interfering with or touching. And therefore it's messy, but their areas are fucking pristine, and they notice if you move anything even a quarter of an inch, including locking and unlocking the door, which they don't want you to do. They'll do that for you. And if they go someplace or go to sleep or whatever and leave the door locked, and you want to get the fuck outside and forget to lock the door before they get up, they see it and they walk over and start examining the door, thinking you've compromised the door or stepped on the door jamb or got dirt grit in the door. Now that's an extreme example, and none of us would actually be going through anything like that. That would be nuts. Not being able to touch the television set would be fucking crazy. But I believe some people out there are going through something like that. And I believe some people out there are going through situations where the elderly grandparent or the whoever cuts themselves in the shower while shaving and screams your name in anger because it's your fault somehow it's your fault somehow. Or they spill a glass of something and your name comes out like a fucking swear, an expletive, because for some reason it's your fault. For some reason it just is. Everything is. Now alright, now this is crazy talk. This isn't actually going on to any of us. That's just it's crazy to think that could possibly be going on. But yet I think it is going on for some of you. Now, alright, some of you have jobs and you have to do things day in, day out that are routine, that bore the shit out of you. And it has to become part of you because it's just all day long, same thing, same thing, same thing. You have to become a robot. A certain part of you has to become a robot to do this job. But every once in a while, you do have to use the bathroom when it's not your break, or you yawn, or you stretch, or you daydream and look off, or you just step away for a second and crack your knuckles or something. And when you're on that machine, your boss doesn't seem to notice. You're a slave to it and a part of it, and you're doing what they want. But the second you step away from it and do something like stretch or yawn or go to the bathroom, they tell you you're not doing your job and that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Or say you're sweeping, you work at a pizza shop and you're sweeping the floor, but the boss didn't tell you to sweep, but they did tell you you're always supposed to be busy. And there are always pizza boxes to be folded, right? But there's like 50 of them. You don't need them. So you're like, okay, I'll just start sweeping. You decide to sweep the dirt out the back door, and you step out the door, and when you step out, you notice how beautiful it is outside. The weather's perfect. So you just stop for a second and look up at the sky and look at a bird or something, and that just perched on the roof, and you take a deep breath and let it out, and you just stretch and close your eyes for a second. And in that second, your boss comes out, tells you, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing out here? I've been looking for you. I wanted you to fold pizza boxes. Get back inside and do something, and don't let me catch you doing nothing again. Or you're in the military and you are scrubbing part of the barracks and you're busting ass as usual, and you're done, you're finished. So you decide to go take a break, lie down, listen to some music on your cot, and some of the other guys are still working, scrubbing, and if they're not, maybe they decided to clean their guns, who knows, but you're done. And so you did what you're supposed to. You're lying down, and as you're lying down, the sergeant, commander, whoever, comes in, sees you lying down, and you're the only one lying down. You just lied down 30 seconds ago. You got the headphones on, you're listening to music, and now you're the lazy motherfucker who has to do 200 push-ups and go scrub the toilet because you're so fucking lazy, and you're getting screamed at that you are a piece of shit. You can apply this. Okay, you work at the computer in a cubicle at work, and there are things that you have to do all day long, but you're bored shitless, and you want to check on some things online because you're online, and you know that you're going to get the work done that day, during the time you're there, but you can't leave, you have to stay there. So you try to stretch it out a little bit, and you decide to go check on whatever you want to look at. And while you're checking on whatever you want to look at, your boss comes up behind you, sees you looking at whatever you want to look at, assumes that's what you look at all day long, and then makes a policy saying you can't look at anything non-work related online, and blames it on you, and then everybody else hates you for it. Okay. So these are different situations that we all go through. Some of them are too crazy. None of us will go through them. But some of them, okay. Everyone goes through something. And you could think of 100 more. So what do? Now, I know. A lot of you are going to say, don't do it. Don't deal with the person who's being irrational. Or tell them they're wrong. But there are certain situations that you cannot do that in. Like in the military. Like when you want to keep your job. Or whatever. There are certain situations where you can't do that in. And there are even certain situations where you try to tell somebody. Okay? Say you have a kid. I don't, but let's say you do. And you've only got a certain amount of time to research something or study something, and you got a roommate, okay, and you're doing a term paper, you gotta study, you gotta get it done, and they won't shut the fuck up, and they're blasting music, and they're jumping up and down saying, look at me, and you're like smiling, saying, that's cool, I gotta do this, I can't focus, I really need to focus, and they won't listen to you, they won't leave you alone, and you can't focus at all on what you're doing, at all, and you have to do it. You have to do it then, and you have to do it there. And trying to calmly explain to them that they have ADD, and they're bouncing off the wall, and they're making you feel like you have ADD and driving you crazy, makes them go absolutely ballistic, freak out on you, and they're now screaming at you and going back and forth across the room, and they're bipolar or something, and they're just ballistic. And now you gotta deal with that, or you start to feel like you must have bipolar because you can't pay attention to what you're doing. Like, you can't even focus on the page in front of you, on the screen in front of you. You can't even hold a thought in your head because someone else is ranting and raving. So it might as well be you in your own mind ranting and raving. You might as well be out of your fucking mind because you got somebody else who's out of their fucking mind and they won't shut the fuck up and they're ranting and raving. So it might as well be a voice in your head that won't shut off. Okay. So what do we do? What do we do when we have to deal with this? Everyone has to deal with it once in a while. What if you have to deal with it every single day? Which I know some of you do. You want to keep your job, you're in the military, you're in prison, whatever, you're in a position you can't get out of. What do we do? How do we deal with it? The only thing we can do is deal with us. We might not be in a situation that's fair or balanced, like Fox News, but I don't know why I said that. I joke around. That's how I deal with it. To myself. No one's there to see it, okay? No one thinks I'm funny. There's no one to laugh. But I make myself laugh in my own mind. And that's just one example, but the way we have to deal with it by the way we deal with it. And we can let it kill us through stress. Honestly, we can let it build up until we have nervous fucking breakdowns or until we feel we're insane. We want to bang our head against a wall, you know? Or we can deal with it by zoning out, dissociating, which may or may not be healthy depending on the situation. It is a way to preserve our sanity. But if you do that all the time, you don't feel anything anymore. You might forget how to feel after a while. So we need to, the point is, we are the ones. It is our reaction and how we deal with the situation that determines our ultimate outcome, because you can't get away from the drill sergeant. You know what I mean? You can't. And so you have to take advantage of the times when he's not around, or the times you're not at work, and make up for the time where you have to deal with it. And when you're dealing with it, we have to figure out a way to deal with it that isn't going to end up killing us or driving us crazy or making us feel like the only way out is to put our head through the wall, which is no good for us. So I'm gonna make another video. Okay, so in part 1, I talked about the type of stress that you can't get away from. And you could apply that to someone bothering you, but you could also apply it further just to a situation you're in that doesn't involve someone else talking all the time or bossing you around, or, being in a position of being in the military, or having someone at work have authority over you. You could also apply it to you're sick, you're in pain, you don't have enough money coming in, and you're incredibly stressed and you don't know how you're going to deal with anything. So this is mostly for the type of stress that other people put us under, but it really is going to apply across the board to everything. For the solution, for one solution, there are others. The most obvious people are going to tell you is to solve the problem or get away from whoever's causing the problem. And like we talked about in part 1, you're in prison, you're at work, you're in the military, or in another situation. You might not be able to do that. You're going to have to deal with the person who is causing you the stress. And the way to deal with that in those situations is not to tell them who you are as a person and that they have no authority over you, because that is going to be seen as a confrontation that could get you scrubbing toilets for a week, or beaten in some cases, or fired. How many of you heard the Wayne Dyer interview, where the lecture that he did, where he says the advice he gives people, like, if there's something you want to do and you talk to it around people, like dreams that you have, things that you're interested in, ideas, things that inspire you, but the people around you think it's stupid or don't support it, and then they start telling you what they think you need to do. He says the worst thing you can do is argue with them and say, that's not who I am. Don't tell me what to do. That's not what I want to do. You don't know who I am. I want you to know who I am. Damn it. Let me be me. Let me be free. He said that's the worst thing you can do, because when you do that, they are already trying to exert their will over you. They already think they're right. They already think they know what's best for you. So when you do that, it confirms to them that you need fixing, and they're just the ones to fix you. And they need to convince you of their point of view, and a power struggle ensues. You're trying to be free and demanding that they acknowledge your right to be free and your right to think thoughts outside of their viewpoints, and they feel the need to make you see things their way and make your life better by following their advice. And in worst case scenarios, they're in a position of authority over you and will exert their will over you, and already are, but particularly will if they see you as lashing out against them or rebelling or confronting them. So Wayne Dyer's advice in that situation is that you take the path of non-resistance, or least resistance, and you say, you know what, it's a really good idea, thank you, I'm going to think about that. The person has nowhere to go from there. Or you say, I never thought of it that way, you're right, thanks, I'll look into that. Because the person will drop it unless they're out of their mind. Which is exactly what my last video was about and what we're going to talk about in this. But the person will drop it, and then they bring it up again in the future. You do the same exact thing. You know what, that was really a lot to think about, and I'm still thinking about it. So yeah, just I'll get back to you when I do. So just thank you though, because it really is helpful. You're right, yeah, absolutely, okay. and they drop it because they think, yeah, they're listening to me. They they think you're doing exactly what it is that they wanted you to do, which is listen to them, respect them, take their advice and follow their direction. Even though you're not. You're just saying it. And then you go on and you dream away and work toward whatever it is you want without anyone telling you can't. So, in part 1, we did talk about being in situations where you can't get away from the stressor, the boss, the drill sergeant, the insane person, whatever. In those situations, we kind of do take the road of least resistance by instinct, don't we? You can't get away, and you can't. It's a daily situation, so you just, by habit, tend to take the road of least resistance, tend to try to deflect and tend to try to get the person to calm down or at least go away. And that's how we handle it on some level. But the other way, people are going to say, again, get away, or to relieve stress, change your environment, go outside. All these things work for stress, but in the situation that you find yourself in daily that you might not be able to get out of, where your time is being restricted by authority or other means, you're going to have to use your mind to free yourself. And if you think about it, with law of attraction and positive thinking and all that, if you don't use your mind to free yourself, your mind's being used against you anyway. The person in the position of power is manipulating your mind to think the way they do about you. So, if you take what they say to heart and you believe what they say, so I'm not saying to outwardly go against it and say fuck off if you can't, and I'm sorry I wasn't going to swear in this one, but in this situation, doing what Wayne Dyer says and agreeing, using the path of least resistance to diffuse them, while at the same time acknowledging to yourself and saying, you know what, I'm agreeing with you, but you're not the boss of me. You don't own my soul. You don't own my spirit. You don't own my mind. You don't own my thoughts. You don't know who I really am. You think you do, but you don't. That's what you want to say. You don't say that out loud, but you better say that to yourself. You better let yourself know that you know who you are, and you are not who they are trying to make you feel you are, or who they are telling you you are, or who they're telling you you're supposed to be. Because if you let them do that, and you do what they say without telling yourself inside that's not who you are, and you know who you are, you will end up becoming a mere shadow of yourself, and you will, at least outwardly, be who they want you to be, and you'll lose who you are, and you won't know who you are anymore. And I've seen that happen to people. So yeah, I would say get outside if you can, but if you can't, you really should be imagining and working on visualizing outside. Whatever freedom is to you, whatever it is that you want, that you don't have in that moment, for those 8 or 10 hours you're stuck there, or some people are stuck longer than that. It just depends on the situation. You may be signed on somewhere for a year or two, and you may be serving a sentence, or you might just be in a situation that's just a constant daily thing without any end in sight. You better be using your mind to counteract what the authority figure is doing to you, in brainwashing you to be who they want you to be, or see yourself the way they see you. Because, I mean, to be honest, it is really easy to end up with incredibly low self-esteem and not be able to imagine anyone seeing anything good in you. If you start to believe someone always telling you that you're not good enough, it is really easy. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what's happening because at first you're saying this is bullshit. Then you learn it's easier to be quiet, and it is. Wayne Dyer even tells us it is. After a while, you're telling yourself inside, this isn't who I am, this isn't who I am, this isn't who I am. But if you stop doing that, you will lose faith in yourself, and you will start to think, it must be true. No one else is ever going to see past that. So, whatever the situation, you have to hold on to what it is you remember wanting in the beginning for yourself before the limitations were placed upon you. Hold on to it no matter how difficult or impossible that seems. I'm not recommending following your dreams. You know, people are talking about if you're not happy doing what you love, you'll only be happy if you do for a living and spend your time doing what you love, and that is absolutely true. And the people who do that are happy people. If you can do that, do it. If you can strive for it while you have to do something else, do that. Don't ever give up hope. Don't ever give up. But reality is that if you just take off and go to Hollywood, if that's your dream, 1% of you are going to make it, and the rest of you are going to end up in potentially really horrible situations in your attempt to live your dream, and it's going to be a nightmare. So don't just throw everything away and do something completely unrealistic, but don't give up on it even if it is unrealistic. Have the hope and do the things that you need to do to work toward it physically, things that make sense, while at the same time mentally no holds barred mentally in visualizing. Alright? If that means you're in a place and you want to go outside just to get away from it, you're going to have to imagine the outside. You're going to have to imagine nature, beauty, flowers, the ocean, waterfalls, rainbows, dolphins, whatever. Okay? Imagine someone you're in love with. Imagine whatever it is that makes you feel the way you would want to feel on a daily basis all the time. Whatever that would be that you imagine it would be, or can remember at one point in time, imagining it being. You need to be imagining that while you're stuck wherever you're stuck, because that's the only way out on an energy level, because like attracts like, and negativity attracts negativity, and if you're in a negative situation and your circumstances don't allow you to escape it, the only way to escape it is in your mind. And if you can escape it in your mind, you can draw it to you vibrationally, energetically, and the impossible can become possible. The absolutely impossible can become possible. I've seen it happen to other people. Okay? I've seen it happen. And on a personal level, uncanny things have happened to me. And it goes right along with what I imagine or have imagined. So, I'm going to leave you with that. Work on your mind. It is the way out of situations that there is no way out of. It can make the impossible possible. And by the way, I can't have a video without saying the elite know this and are using it against you. Your mind. Okay. Good night, guys and girls. Good day, wherever you may be.